So on Tenniszoo today from Los Gigantes, Tipsy Terrace, we have Norma Honey.
Hello.
Thank you for allowing me to interview you after your training session with your husband on court.
Mm-hmm.
Now, first question. How many years have you been coming to Los Gigantes?
27.
27 years. And how did you discover it?
Because we had friends who were travel agents, and when our youngest son was born, we wanted some sun in the winter, and they said it was the Caribbean or the Canaries, and they knew Tenerife and they knew Los Gigantes Hotel, and they said although it's shabby chic, it's very nice, and the shabby was definite, the chic also, and so we came for 4 weeks out of the 6 because we just liked it, and I've come ever since.
Now, your tennis, what age did you start playing tennis?
Well, I played at school, but we didn't have coaching. They just gave you rackets and you hit balls, and so I didn't really play tennis a lot then. And also because I was a cello player, music and sport often clashed. So for many years I didn't play tennis at all. And actually, when I started playing tennis again was actually when number 2 son was born, which is therefore 27 years ago. And from then on, I've tried to get better.
Right.
Uphill struggle.
Well, you have improved. I think what most people admire about you is the fact that you go out there with your hubby and the two of you hit for an hour.
We do.
Yeah, you hit for 15 minutes and talk for 45. But you then on your own, there's no doubles. It's just you two hitting balls, which is good.
Yeah.
Now, the rumour is that you started playing some tennis tournaments.
I have, yes.
And this was funny because you told me that you turned up at Dudley.
I did.
Dudley in
the West
Midlands, and you didn't realise that it was the British Indoor Championships,
this is
Grade
correct.
1 tournament.
This is correct.
That, for anyone that doesn't know, but Grade 1 is the highest level of veterans tournament you can get. And you said to me that you lost to a Jane Ling.
Yes, that's
yes,
right.
I searched for this. Yeah, I looked it up.
Done, yes.
And you thought that would be the end of her tournament, but she actually lost in the semi-final.
Oh, that makes me feel better.
Doesn't that make you feel so much better?
It makes me feel a lot better.
And she lost to Marjorie Love, who actually went on to win it.
Okay.
So you actually lost to
Oh, well, that sounds better,
that's
doesn't
right.
it?
Now, you were involved in a club.
I am. Sutton Coldfield Hardcourt Club.
And are you still...
Chairman.
You're chairwoman? Or
Chairperson.
Chairperson.
Whatever.
And how long have you been doing that for?
I've been in... I was a secretary to start with, so I suppose I've been chairperson for about 15 years.
Right. Yeah, and it's a thriving club.
Very.
Yeah.
It's a good club. It's a
Good
performance club. It's got indoor courts.
And got some good players.
Got some nice players.
Apart from yourself.
Juniors.
Yeah.
But we've got our first team, men and ladies, are very good. They play top division in both. Right. In Warwickshire. So.
Yeah.
And then there's lots of us who
great.
enjoy ourselves.
Now I'm going to ask you 2 questions. First, question number 1. Have you got any ideas? What do you think could be done to improve tennis as far as getting people to play it, or facilities or whatever? What do you think the one thing that perhaps the LTA could do to make tennis more popular?
Okay. There's not a one thing. The reality of tennis is it's a difficult game. You have to do it yourself, and the net is in the middle of the court and not that you kick into it and that kind of thing. And because it's basically a sport, a club-based thing, whatever happens, and for example, we've done a lot of work in our club in Outreach with parks, where our coaches go and have on 2 courts up to 80 people on a Sunday morning, this kind of thing. But those folk, if they're going to progress in tennis, have got to then join a club.
Yeah.
So, and the clubs are generally private clubs, which means that whilst we, for example, make life as easy as possible for people to come and become members, they still have to pay. And the tournament structure isn't particularly facilitating of tennis, so the clubs themselves need to do stuff like that. It's a very difficult one. I suppose one of the things I would suggest the LTA doesn't do, and I know it's thinking about, is making people pay for British tennis membership.
Right.
Because that will kill it. You know, when you're in a sport which is into participation, you don't then make people pay more.
No.
So
no.
Rather than saying what they could do, I would say what I suggest they don't do.
Because it is a money sport. You do have to have money.
You do have to, it's a very middle classy type of sport.
Yeah. Don't care what anyone says. It is.
It is.
Yeah.
And you know, I think lots of clubs sponsor juniors in particular whose parents can't necessarily take them everywhere and support them. We do a lot of that. We take kids all over the place. But at the end of the day, they've got to stand on their own 2 feet one way or another.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you get around that.
No.
And in a city like Birmingham, where we live, they've done things like they've had Asian women programs and this and that and the next thing to try and encourage different sorts of people to play tennis. But then at the end of that program, what do they then do to play tennis? They have to go and find a club.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, it's the same as all those years ago. I sat in on the Cliff Richard Search for a Star, and what he wanted to do was find someone from the back streets of Manchester, Birmingham, Watford, and it was never going to work.
No, it's very
because
difficult.
unless you've got parents with money and time,
absolutely,
you can't sponsor everyone.
One of our juniors who's done very well, Max Stewart, his mum basically didn't work and took him literally all over the country and eventually into Europe and all over the place.
Yeah.
Had she not been able to do that,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have had the opportunity, shall we say.
No.
So, you know, if your parents can't afford A, not to work, and B, not to do that, it's very, very difficult.
Now, finish off with, I'm going to ask you, for everyone out there listening to this, just in case there is anyone listening to this, a tennis tip. Well, it could be anything. It could be something like, don't hit for an hour with your husband.
Yeah, it could be.
Something like that. But what a tennis tip for people, for someone, anything.
I think that my best tennis tip is keep going. Keep, in whatever happens, just keep going. Don't give up.
Yeah.
Because it's the most frustrating sport in the whole world. Because what I found in my thing is, and I play a lot of doubles, is that you get to a point and you think, oh, we're doing really well, and then we come up against a team and we're annihilated. You think, oh, God.
Yeah.
And you just like say, I forget. You learn something.
Exactly. Every time you lose, you learn. Yeah. Well, Norma, thank you very much for your interview here from Tipsy Terrace. Thank you very much.
Thank you.